Speaking of the country and the public protector, how do you
Yes.
feel about the state of this country right now?
You know, it's a really interesting question, and I've met many people who say the same thing to me. A lot of people will say to me, Trevor, this is the worst country in the world. Trevor, you're so lucky you got out. Oh, this is the worst country, worst country. I go, first of all, I've never tried, nor have I ever considered getting out. You know, I move where my work takes me, and my goal is to always be part of building up what I consider one of the best nations in the world. I think we should be careful in the language we use because it shapes how we perceive reality. This is not the worst country in the world. This is not even close to being the worst country in the world. This is a great country going through a terrible time. And I think there's a difference in that distinction. And I think it's really important to remember that. The reason it's important to remember that is because it then reminds you of where you want to go and where you can go. The only reason we're complaining, the only reason we're having issues, whether it's load shedding or whether it's corruption or whether it's talking about, you know, inept politicians, etc., is because we have a standard that clearly we have remembered in moments in time. Otherwise, we wouldn't complain. You can't complain about not having
you don't
electricity
know.
if you never had electricity.
Yeah.
So that means we know we can get back to it. And so, you know, I'm an eternal optimist. I've been that in my life. I've been that, you know, in my family. I've been that, you know, for my country. And I think we have to push in that direction. It doesn't mean that we have to be delusional. It doesn't mean that we have to ignore what we're seeing. But I really think that we have to try to remember that at all costs, because if we give up and say the country is gone and we treat it as if it is gone, we then become part of the problem. And I honestly mean this on even the lowest level. You know, I think we take for granted how much on the ground each person is contributing to how a country feels. Yes, politicians and leaders are definitely defining a lot of it from the top. But we define a lot of it just in the street, walking, you know, driving our cars, being there for each other, the way we conduct ourselves, you know, in and amongst our neighborhoods and our townships and our communities. I think that's something we should never let go of. And so it's definitely a tough time right now.
What do people ask you the most about this country? There was a time in off-air we were talking about how it used to be Nelson Mandela.
Yes, yes.
And then I realized recently in New York that it's, Amapiano.
Yes.
And then I realized also in New York that it's Trevor Noah. So every time people ask, where are you from? South Africa. Oh, Trevor Noah.
Right. That's been amazing. I won't lie. It really has been amazing.
Right? So people know you're from South Africa.
Yeah.
What do they ask you the most about this country?
You know, that's been, you know, an interesting one, is like people have so many misconceptions about South Africa. You know, some people obviously will ask you about, they'll go like, oh, what about the crime? And, you know, people will say, oh, I heard there's, you know, there's corruption and I heard this. But this is what I mean about like messaging, you know, and that's why I'm very passionate about how we market South Africa.
Is that why you're charging us 33 million?
No, man, can we talk about that?
Dude!
Can we talk about that? You know, guys, honestly, Clement, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I wish I had all the money that newspapers and tabloids say I have. Sometimes I read newspapers, then I'm like, guys, Nami, I want that money. Now I'm depressed because now you've told me about money that I don't have. Now I'm like, well, guys, I want that money. Now I'm depressed, honestly. And but I also think that points to some of the messaging. So, you know, I woke up one day and they're like, Trevor Noah, SA Tourism, he's getting my. It's like, guys, first of all, I'm not doing anything with SA Tourism.
There's no contract signed.
I'm dealing with private. This is a private body of hotels and Airbnbs, and because you know that coming out of COVID, South Africa has had the lowest rebound rate of any nation in the world that needs tourism as a big part of its GDP. Right? We cannot afford to not have tourists in this country. And so when you look at other countries that have bounced back to 90% of their previous capacity before COVID, South Africa, I think we're sitting at like 60%, 60%. That's terrible for us. It affects jobs, it affects employment, it affects everything. You know, it affects our economy in a big way. And so I was approached by, it's like a private group, you know, where they go, hey, we are the hotels, we are the people who need to get people to come in. Can we talk about creating a campaign? And I said, yeah, I'd love to be the face. I mean, I helped Swiss tourism. So I was like, how can I not help my own country? Yeah. But then the irony in South Africa is...
Ed in Swiss?
No. No, Swiss is hard, eh? Yo, speaking Swiss is hard.
I would have loved to see that ad.
Yo, like German, I can speak a little bit, but Swiss German is something else. But okay. But it's one of those things where you realize, and I understand this, by the way. South Africans are so traumatized from corruption on every corner and every topic we touch.
Yeah.
That everyone thinks everything is connected to corruption somewhere, somehow, in every shape or form, even something that has nothing to do with the government. You know, and now people are there. So, Trevor, are you part of Tumamina? Then I'm like, guys,
Did you get a tender?
I have nothing. There's no tender. I have nothing to do with this. Guys, I can't work for government because I also want to talk about government. Do you know what I mean? So when you come to my comedy shows, now all of a sudden I can't speak my mind because I'm worried about losing a tender. Never that.
But here's the problem I have is there is nothing wrong with you, even if it was, okay, SA tourism, let's put that aside, because there are people who are mentioning the amount of, oh my God, 33 million rand. He's from South Africa. He could do this pro bono or for free. And we spoke about this on the show the other day. And like, this guy is a global superstar. He's got so much influence. And I bet he's even given us a discount on that 33 million rand. There's also nothing.
And there's first and foremost, guys, can we stop saying 33 million?
Ayiko.
You're making me depressed.
So you're not 33 million and rich in your pocket now.
I swear on my life, Clement, you're making me depressed, yeah. It is not 33 million rand. It's not even close to 33 million rand.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
But did you really give them a discount for whatever amount?
That's the first thing, yes. But secondly, you know, one thing I think we also need to work on as people, and this is something that we've sort of, I don't know where we got it from, you know, like when you'd be living, there would be this attitude sometimes where there would be one house where they would buy a car, you know, bathengi paki or something.
Yeah.
And now everyone comes to them and goes, Kaus Tate, please, can you take us to Macro? Hey, can you take us? Hey, can you take? And now the person who owns the car goes, okay, but guys, are you gonna pay? Then they're like, why must we pay? Then you're like, because, well, I paid to get the car. I'm working to get this thing. Do you know what I mean? And I think we should not live in a world where we go, your work isn't valued at something.
Exactly.
Everyone's work should be valued at something. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, I also understand at the same time how sensitive South Africans can be because we look at where spending goes. Yeah. But this is where I go back to sensitivities. You know, I remember reading about the Tottenham deal, you know, the 1 billion rand SA tourism, which on the face of it looked crazy. But when I started reading into it, and again, I must put, I have no affiliations with SA Tourism. SA Tourism does not pay me anything. So I'm saying this as Trevor Noah by myself. I'm not, there's no government, anything that comes my way. Yeah. I mean, I send money to government. Government doesn't send money to me.
You're with Clement Manyathela. 702.